Hey everybody, it's your boy Commando_Thorn123. Today, we are going to be doing a what if Aladar from the Disney's dinosaur movie was a carnivore. And everyone, I know the consequences of Aladar being a meat eater, but just try to bear with me. I know a lot of this stuff wouldn't actually happen. So just don't say stuff in the comments about me saying this is wrong, or that it's not historically accurate. But let's be honest, how many times in a movie have things been historically accurate? Like dinosaur documentaries, how do we know this happened? Because we weren't there so many years ago. But anyway, we start our story off at a Carnotaurus nest, and a sneaky egg eater, I don't know the name of this kind of dinosaur, was here's the mom, a Carnotaurus, coming, so it picks up an egg and runs off. And once it gets into a safe spot, it is getting ready to open it and try and eat it. But when it gets attacked by another egg eater dinosaur, and the egg falls into the river, and it goes on the whole egg journey of going through the river and going through the valley of dinosaurs, but eventually it heads to an island, and the pteranodon drops the egg because two birds attacked it. And oh, sorry everyone, I'm a little plugged up today. Anyway, the egg falls. Luckily it doesn't break, and Pleo goes by the egg, despite everyone saying not to go by the egg, and the egg hatches, and it shows a baby Carnotaurus. I know I can't really find an image of a baby Carnotaurus, everyone. I'm sorry about that. But we'll just say this baby image of Aladar is a Carnotaurus. So, but this time, I think this version of Aladar, since he's a carnivore, would think Pleo is his mom, due to the fact that birds naturally imprint on the first thing they see. So I think with this mindset, this Carnotaurus Aladar would be thinking Pleo is its mother. But Yar doesn't like Aladar being a part of the whole thing, so Yar does attempt to drop Aladar, but is eventually caves, because I think Aladar would be crying for its mom, for Pleo, and then Yar just gives Aladar back to Pleo, and that just about plays the same. But as time goes on, this version of Aladar is more hungry. Sure, he can't eat the lemurs. I know people will say, well, he could eat the lemurs, but since Pleo is his mom, I would think this version of Aladar would be forced not to eat others, so he would have to eat fish, and if at worst case berries. He would have to eat berries and fish. But this time, I think Aladar sees Zenny as his older brother. Like, I think also a reason why Zenny was, like, so laid back was because of Aladar being a herbivore. But with a carnivore, maybe Zenny would be, more careful. And, like, but Aladar overall still sees Zenny as his older brother, but Zenny can't get a girl. So, we head into the present day of Aladar being grown up, and Shuri and her friends are playing with Aladar, but Aladar can't, like, swallow or, like, keep Shuri in his mouth, because seeing that he's a carnivore and that if he holds Shuri in his mouth for too long, he could either swallow her or, like, it could end up in a really bad situation for him and her. So he decides not to just, like, try and eat her or, like, pretend to eat her. But even if he did, like, accidentally keep her in his mouth, then, like, he would just probably spit her out because of fur. But, then Cleo comes around and then tells Aladar to find Zenny, and, it's like, okay, like, Aladar would, like, say, okay, I'll go get him, And Aladar does find Zenny trying to practice his pickup lines for the ladies. And then Aladar, like, arrives and says, really, Zenny, you really have to be doing this? And Zenny is, like, saying, hey, you're not a monkey or a lemur. I'm a lemur. I have to do this. And Aladar is like, all right, lover boy, we better get to the old meeting, and the old man's meeting. And Zenny is like, you can say that one for sure. And so they still go to the meeting, and Aladar then comforts Zenny at, like, when Zenny realizes everyone doesn't want him. Like, I mean, any girl wants him. Sorry, everyone. So Aladar then just, like, there's always next year, buddy. And Zenny is, like, then saying, like, well, if I did get a girl, they would just want to move to a bigger tree. And Aladar is like, I'm always here for you, brother. And so then Cleo arrives and then tells Yar, or, like, that Aladar and Zenny are, like, the only guys on the island who don't have someone who loves them, or yeah, we'll go with that one. So then Leo then tells Aladar that it's not always been his best strong suit, and that if only there was someone on the island for Aladar, but, like, who looked more pretty and less aggressive or scary. And Aladar would say, hey, I don't really mind it. I'm just happy to be around family. And since Aladar is a carnivore, he would be able to smell, like, rocks and ash, like, falling. And he finds he sees the meteorite a lot sooner, and, like, once the meteor smashes into the sea, then like everyone, like the shockwave or the air blast from the meteorite sends Aladar falling due to Aladar not being like on four legs. So Aladar falls, but since he is a carnivore, he is fat, and he is able to get his family off the island. And once they see the island burning, like, they try to roar, but Aladar can't roar right now because he swam like so many miles, and he's a carnivore, so carnivores aren't really built for swimming unless you count a Spinosaurus, but like those guys adapted to their environment. But Aladar, he had to like he's mostly a land guy, and like it would take him a really long, tiring journey to get to the mainland. But and I know some people might be asking, like, why, if Aladar is a land animal, how did he survive? Like, honestly, I'm going to have to give him a plot item or a plot armor, and just say, like, a big branch, a big part of a tree fell off the island, and he was able to float onto it, and he was able to kick. I'm just saying, everyone, that's how it would have survived. That's the only way I see him surviving. And so they get to the mainland, and once they find, after a while of walking, they find the raptors, or the raptors find them, or whatever. So the raptors are like really, I think the raptors are more hesitant on testing Aladar this time, because the other Aladar was an iguanodon and knew not really how to fight, but this Aladar is a carnivore and may not know how to fight, but is still 10 times stronger than them. And so I think a few raptors, like 3, would attempt to get Aladar down, or take down the lemurs of Aladar's family. And so Aladar then would, like, take down 3, and that would scare the raptors enough to back off. And Aladar, not having eaten meat in a while, would smell the bite marks he left in the raptors and start eating the raptors, and I think they would have to cover Shuri's eyes, if I'm being honest. So, yeah, Aladar eats the 3 raptors, and then and once the sandstorm clears, they hear dinosaur herd. And so they are amazed that there are other creatures that look almost like Aladar but don't look like him, if you guys understand what I'm meaning. But Aladar still follows the herd and meets I don't remember all the names, but these are the names I think it was Emma, Earl, and Baleen. Like, guys, comment down below if you remember this movie, and let me know if you remember the old dinos' names. But anyway, they meet Aladar and really are hesitant because Aladar is a carnivore, but Aladar is like still nice, which surprises them. And so and being raised by lemurs gives them a double shock. So yeah, they are easier going, and so, or a little less easygoing. But when Cronin arrives, Crone and Bruton actually ram into Aladar and are like really angry because they're defending the herd from a Carnotaurus, and Pleo and Zenny being the closest things to family, or like to the closest animals for Aladar having a family, would be like getting riled up that the fact that they attacked family, and that Aladar isn't like what, like, he is trying to be. He is like he's nice, and if he wanted to eat any one of they would have, like, he would have done it. And like Nira is actually a little surprised, actually a lot surprised, that Aladar, a Carnotaurus, would be not wanting to eat anyone. And so I think she would stand by Aladar's side. Sorry. She would stand by Aladar's side and try to stand up to Crone a little bit more than in the original. And so Crone and Bruton like discuss the options, like whether they should keep this guy in the herd or just leave him to die. And Crone, being ignorant, says, yeah, we'll keep him, but if he gets hungry, he can just eat the slow ones. Like, Bruton doesn't like the idea of having a Carnotaurus with the herd, but like says, okay, and it could pick up the pace a lot more. So the journey goes about the same, and if you're wondering how Aladar survived without eating anything, I think he would have eaten like dead at one of the, like, any dead dinosaur that died, like the Gallimimus, I believe. Like, I saw, like, in the movie, a dead Gallimimus was on the road, and so Aladar could eat that. And honestly, guys, I want to know, like, how did the herd survive for so long without eating or drinking? Like, that's my question. But let's be honest, like when people make movies, like, they don't really put too much detail in it. They just want to put in some detail. Like, when it gets to a certain point, like, where people just want to make a certain point of movies, like, let's have so much detail that it explains, or like have a little bit of detail and not really explain anything and just keep the task on this. Or in some cases, like, have a bit of detail about something and then have some motion on both sides. But anyway, the herd gets to the watering hole. The water is not there, and so they they find the water. Aladar, being a Carnotaurus, actually gets the herd to spread away from him and Emma, I believe. Ema, or... Oh, yeah, Ema. Yeah, I believe. So, but, like, Aladar still has kind of a romantic like, not romantic because it's a little tense, but like it loosens when Aladar helps the baby iguanodons and talks about with Nira, but eventually this is where, and the herd leaves Aladar, and this is where things get a little tense. Like, in the storm, when Aladar is in the cave with the two Carnotauruses, they are probably going to say, I know they didn't talk, because that was like one of the really good detail Disney made when they first made this. Like, they didn't have any of the carnivores talk. And I talked to my dad, and he didn't like the fact that all the dinosaurs talked, but the carnivores didn't talk. Like, everyone else talked, but not the carnivores. But like, I think this would this really, the Carnotaurus not speaking actually really gave off like a monstrous beast mind. But anyway, I think Aladar could speak in his own language, and they would say, like, one of the Carnotauruses would say, like, why do you not hunt this prey, brother? And let's be honest, there is a good chance that it could be Aladar's sibling. In this storyline, it could be Aladar's sibling. But Aladar then would say, like, they are not food. They are my friends. They are my family. And Aladar, even though he may be a Carnotaurus, he doesn't have the experience, and he's being tag teamed by both Carnotauruses. But I think... Sorry. But in this timeline, Bruton, like, Bruton, seeing that a Carnotaurus would be, like, willing to fight, like, to protect herbivores, and Bruton is like, wow, I've been treating this dude poorly, and he's been trying to help me. You know what? I'm gonna help him. So Bruton, like, helps Aladar hold the Carnotauruses back, and Bruton and Aladar see that they can collapse the cave, so they, like, ram into the columns, and then once the columns are, like, really weak, Aladar spins his tail, slapping one of the Carnotauruses into the column, and Aladar and Bruton just sprint. They sprint like there is no tomorrow, and then they both make it to both of the group, but, and Bruton, having a new respect for Aladar, is like happy, like, respects Aladar now, because Bruton, like, this Carnotaurus was willing to sacrifice himself to protect others. And but the Carnotaurus still survives, and it leaves them on the other side of the cave, and they eventually break down the cave wall, and they make it to the nesting grounds, and they see the chasm, and are like, they see the rock slide, and they are like, Aladar is like, I gotta help them. Like, Crone will get them killed, especially with a Carnotaurus out there. So Bruton then says, hold up. Crone might be a little bit ignorant, but surely he's not that ignorant. Like, let me go with you. I'll try to help you reason with him. So they make it to the herd, and Aladar tries to warn them, and Bruton then Bruton is like, Aladar is trying to reason with everyone, and Mira is like listening, and Bruton then tells Crone, like, Crone, you're going to, like, you have to turn back. A Carnotaurus is on its way. We have to get everyone out of here, and we have a safer way to the nesting grounds. We don't have to climb this rock and do it as, like, we did in the past. We could do it, like, there's a different way to save others. And Crone, being ignorant, would like, not trust Crone anymore. I mean, Bruton anymore. And Bruton is like, what? Crone, you're insane. You're going to kill everyone if you do this. And so Crone is like getting really angry. And so Aladar then tells everyone there's a better way, and if they follow him, then, like, they could survive. And Crone is furious with this. So Crone, like in the original, fights Aladar and gives a nice cut or two, but Aladar being a really big predator, Crone is more ain't scared to face Aladar. But when Crone gets a really good cut on Aladar, then Bruton and Nira, like, intervene and like, get Crone down, and then get Crone away from Aladar, and they leave, but the Carnotaurus still arrives, and Aladar gets into a nasty clash, but the herd, like, when Aladar is bleeding really badly, the herd, like, comes together and, like, helps Aladar, and Crone, like, then the Carnotaurus sees Crone and still kills him somehow. I don't know how, like, impact of the body or something like that. I don't know how Crone got killed. Like, that was, like, pretty dumb. Pretty dumb idea of just, getting hit by a rock. Like, sure, yeah, but, like, you have to get hit with enough force. Like, just, like, one little knockback, like, that won't do anything. But Aladar takes down the Carnotaurus, and it's, like, really tough for Aladar, and so Aladar, Nira and Bruton take down the Carnotaurus, and they knock the Carnotaurus into the little chasm thing, and then Aladar, realizing that he is a Carnotaurus, and thinks about the fact that he's a Carnotaurus and that it's a risk. Like, being a carnivore and living with a bunch of animals that are supposed to be his food is, like, a really high risk, and Aladar doesn't want to play that kind of risk with a bunch of dinosaurs. And so Aladar then tells, like, everyone that he's going to leave and hopefully find someplace else, and he'll try to, like, survive out in the wild, but, like, he would say, like, goodbye to his friends and family. And even if everyone, like, this is one part. I'm going to do a side. This is, like, not part 2, but this is a part where I like to split things off and explain what would happen in 2 different things. Like, the first option we have is where Aladar leaves and potentially dies in the desert, or Aladar stays with the herd and tries to handle his hunger control. And even if he stayed, like, he could potentially and not possibly having a kid with Nira, like in the original, but, like, Nira and Aladar, even if they were romantic partners like this, it would be a complicated relationship due to the fact that he's a carnivore and tries to like is willing to try and he's trying to handle himself, but it's so difficult trying to not eat meat inside of a group of animals that look so delicious. So it all depends, everyone, on what Aladar chooses, but I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.